Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is the book we're reading this week. Welcome back to Books and Tea Time with yours truly. This week we have a very exciting and new-ish style vlog because this week I am reading one book that is 1,100 pages. Almost at 11,000. That is impossible to do in a week, but 1,100, maybe not. We shall see. This week we are reading this behemoth, and it is The Stand by Stephen King. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why in God's name do you want to do that to yourself? Why would you try and read 1,100 pages in a week? And let me tell you, for those of you who don't follow Noelle Gallagher on YouTube, first of all, you should. She's hilarious, she's amazing, I love her channel, and a few videos ago, like a week or two ago, she read the entirety of Stephen King's It in 1 week, and after she successfully did so, it inspired me to finally read The Stand. This has been on my shelf for, I think, 4 years almost. Wow, that's embarrassing. I've always really wanted to read it. My dad loves this book. He said it's really, really good, even though it's massive. And I've heard great things about it, and I want to read more Stephen King. Fun fact, the only books I've ever read by Stephen King to date are the Dark Tower books. It's a 7-book epic fantasy horror sci-fi hybrid story. It's incredible. You should read it. I have reviews on my blog about it if you want to check that below. I'll have a link to it. Ever since then, have been wanting to read more of his standalone books that are more horror-esque. Noelle has reignited my desire to read Stephen King with her videos because she really likes his writing and she reads a lot from him. So not only did she just recently read it, but I also just bought The Shining and Misery as per her recommendation. So this week we are going to be reading The Stand and trying to pay homage to Noelle's success by finishing this entire book. I will have her video where she reads Stephen King's It down below, and also just like her channel if you guys want to check her out, which you should. I just wanted to give her credit for this idea. I don't know if it's really an idea, but I took inspiration from her and she's amazing, so I felt like it was only right to include her down below. If this is a success, I would like to make this a series on my channel where I read the biggest and most intimidating books on my shelf, because I do have quite a few. And I think that it would be fun to do that with you, like once a month or every once in a while dedicate an entire vlog to one really, really long book, because I feel like not only do I get inspired to read when I watch those, like Noelle's video really inspired me to pick up this massive book and try my hardest to read it, but also I feel like when I'm vlogging and recording myself reading, I tend to read more because I feel like not only do I need to read to talk about it with you guys, but also I'm inspired to do it for you. So I end up reading more, and I just like talking about books with you guys. So I think I'm more inclined to read long books if I'm recording it rather than just like reading it by myself, because I feel like I'm more likely to give up. So if you like this video, make sure you like it and comment down below if you want me to keep doing these, because I do have a lot of hefty books. I have literally no idea what to expect. I don't know what this book is about. I've just heard good things, again, from my dad and a few other people who like Stephen King. So I should probably stop talking because I have to start reading. Hello there. It's Monday night. I am just going to share my first update for The Stand. I have read 130 pages of The Stand, which sounds like a lot, but this is what 130 pages looks like. My immediate thoughts I'm stupid. I did not know anything about the plot of this book coming into it, and turns out it's about a rapidly spreading disease that resembles the common flu/cold, and it basically, I think, ends up wiping out a bunch of humanity. So given the current global climate, this is perhaps too real, but I committed myself to doing this and I'm gonna just roll with it. So yes, this book is essentially about a pandemic that kills billions of people, I am assuming. Other than that, it's interesting so far. We follow a ton of different characters across the United States. It's very disturbing to hear about how quickly the disease spreads from California all over the place. I'm a little freaked out, but I mean, maybe that's, you know, part of the charm of reading this book when there's a global pandemic. You're probably thinking, wow, you idiot. How did you not know that's what The Stand was about? That was my parents' response because they've both read this and they were like, yeah, it's about a pandemic. How did you not know that? And I was like, I haven't read it yet. How would I know? Other than that, my thoughts on the first 100 pages are, man, Stephen King likes to talk about cars. There's so much car imagery. And I know nothing about cars. There's different types and models and years referenced. It feels like almost every chapter opens with someone driving in a car. It seems a little weird and, dare I say, unnecessary. Happy Monday. I'm gonna go to bed now because it's incredibly late.
Today is a very special day. It's Milo's 3rd birthday. How does it feel to be 3? Okay. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, big stretch. He's an old man. He's so tired. Oh.
Good boy.
Took Milo on a nice birthday walk to celebrate his 3rd year.
Hey everybody, it's the evening again. This is my Tuesday evening check-in. We had a pretty good day today. Spent most of the day just thinking about how I can't believe that Milo's 3 years old already. I'm gonna cry. I don't want him to grow up. I want him to be a baby forever. I have my next update for The Stand and we're making progress. This looks a lot like it did yesterday, but I read a lot today. I'm on page 270. I will say that trigger warnings for so far, at least for like domestic violence and sexual assault, the only thing that I'm struggling with is there are some descriptions of certain people that are making me a little uncomfortable. Like Noelle mentioned in her review of It, I feel like once she pointed it out, I couldn't help but notice it here, but there are a lot of fixations on the female body, and like almost every female character that's mentioned, there's a fixation and focus, like hyper focus on her body. It's just some of the character descriptions is a little problematic for me, but there are a couple characters that I really do like. Basically, the people that we're following at this point in the novel are all of the people who somehow are immune to the flu. Like there's most of the population is getting sick really quickly, spreading it really quickly, dying really quickly, but there are a select few people who aren't getting sick and we're following them. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Ideally by Thursday I'd like to hit the halfway point. I'm gonna go to bed because I'm really tired. I'll see you guys in the morning.
Hi, puppy.
Guys, we're making progress. I just passed the halfway point of the stand and I'm starting to get a little creeped out. Up until like 50 pages ago, I was like, there were feelings of eeriness because of like the pandemic that we are currently dealing with. Reading about like the spread of disease and how it rapidly gets from one person to throughout the entire country and then throughout the entire world, and the response to that, the government response, the conspiracy pieces, it was very eerie and a little bit disturbing as someone who is living in a situation that is not unlike, even though not the same as the one in this book. I'm reaching the point in the book where civilization, like as we know it or as the characters know it prior to the outbreak of this super flu, the world is drastically different. It is a post civilization space, and these pockets of people are coming together, and the questions about morality and what is like ethically right is really disturbing. And like the fact that like you don't have doctors, so if you get a very, what we consider a very mild or treatable illness, suddenly it becomes life and death. So there was a moment in here, medically speaking, that kind of disturbed me around the halfway point. Again, I won't say too much more, but also it's starting to come to the point where we have characters that are just morally corrupt and you're scared of what they're capable of. There's one character in particular in a certain group. There are like a couple different groups that we're following right now of people who have found each other, and there's one character in particular, I freaking hate him. He's awful. I really, really hope that he dies. This whole story is told in omniscient third person, so you get these moments in his psyche and it's frightening. So the humanity aspect of it, people living outside of the law, it reminds me a lot of The Walking Dead, but without zombies. Imagine just like the human interaction in The Walking Dead, like take out the consideration of zombies, but that's essentially what's going on. It's not the same. I briefly mentioned this I think 2 check-ins ago, but there are some things that make me feel a little uncomfortable, a little cringy, and I think that boils down to 2 things. This book was published in like the late 70s, 1978, so I think that right now in 2020, we live in a world, or at least I am accustomed to a world where you have like trigger warnings, and we're very careful about the language that we use and how language can be used as like an oppressive tool and as a weapon. I don't want to say this book is dated in a way because of that, but I think certain character descriptions and certain words that King uses are dated in the sense that we would view it as problematic today, whereas a few short decades ago in the 70s, people would read this and enjoy it without question. So I'm not saying that it's a bad book because of that. I'm still enjoying it. It's giving me the creeps. It's giving me it's causing me to question humanity on like a broad scale and like morality and things like that. So it's very interesting and I like it, but I do think that is one of the flaws, is it's a little dated in that way. I know generally where the book's going because there are hints about things that are going to happen in the future of the book, but I'm not sure. There's 500 more pages of material. I just have no idea what is gonna happen. So I'm interested. There are a couple characters that I'm really attached to, that I do really enjoy and like reading. So just past the halfway point. It's Thursday evening, and I said I wanted to be halfway by Thursday, so I feel like that's a really good place to be. It's a good place to leave off this evening, and tomorrow is the weekend. My mom's birthday is on Sunday. I don't know if I mentioned that at all in this clip yet. I don't think that I did, so I'm going to be baking a cake at some point over the next few days, so I'll show you guys that. Also, the last thing that I will say for this check-in is I think I'm gonna use this angle as like my nighttime check-in angle. I kind of want to get familiar with like certain places correspond with certain type of vlogging material. So if that's something that you like, or you think that is stupid, just let me know in the comments below. But like, I'm sitting on my bed right now. I don't know if you guys can see, so like that's like the head of my bed, so I feel like this is a good nighttime spot because like I'm in my bed, it's casual, and I'm just giving you guys a quick check-in, usually with crazy hair, no makeup, and bags under my eyes. Good night. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far, and happy Thursday evening. Hey guys, it's Friday now, and I spent a little bit of time reading The Stand earlier today, but right now, as per a request in one of the comments from one of my good friends from school, I wanted to show you guys my anti-racism journal slash workbook. I just doodled this on the first page after reading Ibram X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist and So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. I'm coming to realize that being an anti-racist is something that you have to choose to do every day. So that's one of the reasons I started this workbook, but also because I was just encountering a wealth of information on Instagram, on YouTube, and through my reading experiences. So I wanted to have a place where I could store all that information so that I didn't get overwhelmed and forget too many things, or didn't like have a burnout moment. So this workbook is kind of making sure that I can keep this going as an ongoing thing. So some ideas. This is the first page, is that basically what I want to do in this workbook, or a couple things that I want to do. So some things that I did, like one of the first things I did was basically putting my money where my mouth is, kind of, so like how to spend money like an anti-racist, and being aware of the places that you buy from. Popular companies use prison labor. So these are basically all the things that I plan to do with this workbook. I don't know if I made that clear. So like basically like prompts or exercises that I want to do, and I'm going to keep adding to it, which is why I have a little thing there. But learning and note-taking about various topics. I have a lot of posts saved from my Instagram, very helpful graphics, and I have them saved for me, but I also have a thread or a highlight page on my Instagram, both on my book Instagram and my personal Instagram. If you're interested in going there, a lot of the ones that I have saved I also posted and then put it in a highlight. So if you're interested in finding some of the things that I've been using, Instagram has been a really helpful resource for me, taking notes and learning from books and graphics on social media, from the news, and from basically interaction with people that I know. And then journaling with prompts about privilege, guilt, identity, etc., and just generally getting uncomfy. I have here so exploring what it means to me to be privileged in certain ways and how my privilege is different from others, just being aware of it. So I think makes such a big difference, and Ijeoma Oluo really goes and has a really wonderful chapter on that, and So You Want to Talk About Race if you're interested. Thinking about donations and how to work donating into specific causes into my budget. Reflections each month to track my progress. Books, films, and TV shows work Black creators into my life from now and on until forever. This one is also something I think I got from Ijeoma Oluo, is build a code for myself. If they do X, I will do Y. Basically going through conversations in your head and thinking, if someone says this that is a microaggression, or says something that is harmful, then I will say this to educate them or to make them aware of what they're saying, talk and teach other white people in my life and what that looks like. One thing that I really want to do, and I can talk more about this if you guys want to, but I really want to have just like family chats, like with my mom, my dad, and my brother, and like maybe Alexander, where we just like take an hour a week to like work through some of these things. But I think that it will be cool to come together and like get each other on the same page, because I feel like if we're not on the same page, I can't really go out and be like, yeah, talk to your fellow white people, guys. I can't, like, I want to be, you know, taking my own advice in this way. And investigating local politics, this is a big thing for me. I really want to come to understand local politics and feel like I am as informed as possible when I go to the voting booth, and then compiling a list of other ways to help. So these are just like some of the things. I have not done all of these yet, but I was just thinking about all the things I want to get out of this workbook, and this was kind of just a page where I did that. This is a watch list of some really cool stuff from anywhere from Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, things like that. So I have like a whole lot of stuff to watch. One thing that I want to do right now is I have How to Be an Anti-Racist, and I want to go and revisit all the places that I tagged and take notes in this workbook so that I have, again, all my information in one place. So yeah, I'll keep updating you guys as I get little chunks in this workbook done, because I do really enjoy doing it, and I think like just taking an hour, 2 hours a week to sit down and think about these things has really made me understand how I can better help people, because I feel like sometimes I just get really overwhelmed and sad and guilty, and then I sit in those feelings, and then you realize, you know, that's not doing anybody any good, and you're like, well, this could do some good. If you guys like this mini tour, I will definitely keep bringing some content here, and also I'm gonna have some content on the blog probably about this similarly soon. I've got some big news in terms of the plant world. This is the succulent that I purchased in, I think, May, maybe. Her name's Venus. But when I first got her, this was like almost entirely shut. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's like another little mouth is beginning inside, and this one's opening more, so that's super exciting. But I'm nervous I'm gonna have to repot this soon, and I don't know how to do that, and I really don't want it to disturb it or stunt its growth. So if you have tips for succulent repotting, please let me know. Hey there, it's Saturday Addie coming at ya with makeup on for the first time in a while, and I've got some updates for you guys. Not all Stephen King related, but let's start with that. I am hitting the point in the novel where I'm doubting that I'll finish it. I am struggling, guys. I only read, I think, like 50 pages yesterday, which when you're looking at a book this big is barely anything at all. Might as well not have read. I'm currently on page 680, so it's dragging a little bit. I'm still interested, but like sometimes when we follow a certain character for a little too long that I'm not really invested in, I kind of get like I'm reading a little more slowly, and I'm like not as invested, and I'm dropping off. But when I'm reading about characters that I like, I really do fly through. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if we're gonna finish it by tomorrow, guys. I might have to bleed it into next week's a little bit, which is not that big of a deal because I can probably easily squeeze this into my reading rush TBR. We will finish this book. I just don't know if it will be by tomorrow. I think one of the things also is that I'm not used to horror, and Stephen King's version of horror is very violent. I mean, that's the stupidest thing I've ever said in my entire life. Of course it's violent as horror, but like there's a lot of like sexual violence that I'm not super comfortable with, and I don't know if it's a horror thing to make people uncomfortable or if that's like Stephen King's way of making people uncomfortable, but I'm uncomfortable, so it's working. I don't know what to chalk up to genre and what to chalk up to Stephen King and what to chalk up to problematicness if that makes sense. So please comment below. I need help. I don't even know what to begin to think about this book, but that's where we're at right now. I've still got a ways to go, and I'm definitely hitting the point where I'm just like ready to cry looking at how much I have left. Also, I was talking to you guys yesterday and showed you my anti-racism journal, workbook, whatever you want to call it, and after I showed you guys, I went through and revisited all of the tabs from How to Be an Anti-Racist by Kendi, because my dad just finished reading it, so I have it back like in my hands, so to speak. I'm gonna show you guys just briefly what I did so you guys get an idea of what I was talking about. First things first, I just like put the title of the book at the top, and then I just like made notations for each tab and like what it taught me, or some like definitions that I want to keep in mind. On the side here I have marked the pages with all my favorite like longer quotes. So let's just do a little flip through to show you guys generally what it looks like. I have some shorter quotes at the top of this page and the top of this page, and then the highlighting that you see in pink are topics that I want to research further, either in articles or books dedicated to just those topics. Some examples are environmental racism, racism in the healthcare industry. I do actually have a fiction book and a nonfiction book on that topic on my Goodreads list. The powerless defense, which is, I don't know if that's Kendi's term for it, but that's one of the things. He mentions it on page 136. If you have your own copy of How to Be an Anti-Racist, you can check it out there. Anti-capitalism literature, just like books and works about anti-capitalism, gender racism, queer racism, and then he also has a list of a bunch of Black activists to check out, so I wrote all their names down there. Also, the last thing is he has his own anti-racist research and policy center that he runs at a university, so I just wanted to go online and find out more about that because I thought that was really cool. So yeah, that's just an example of what I want to do, or like one of the things that I want to do. I'm also going to do this for So You Want to Talk About Race. If you guys want me to go in detail about that, I definitely will. And also let me know down below any like activities or exercises or prompts that you guys have found that you think are really helpful, if you have any that come to mind. The last thing, as I mentioned yesterday, my mom's birthday's tomorrow, and I'm making her a birthday cake today, and she requested white cake with chocolate frosting. So I'm going to go through my recipes book. This is like my most precious and prized possessions. It is a collection of, I don't know if you guys can really see, of recipes that my grandmother cut from like magazines, from the newspaper articles, things that she typed out herself and wrote in her own handwriting. Here you can see some of them are in her own handwriting here, because my grandmother was a wonderful and skilled baker, and unfortunately she did pass away several years ago. But one of the things that I connect with her a lot through is baking and writing, so I love using her recipes. So I'm gonna go through this and find a good recipe. Oh, I just opened to the one for white cake, so that's perfect. But I'm gonna go through and find a recipe for the cake and a recipe for the frosting, and then I'm probably gonna go to the store, get the ingredients, and get cracking on that. This is just one of the most amazing things. I can't believe that she did this and all this effort, and I'm so glad that I have it and that I get to share that connection with her. Let me know in the comments what you're reading right now. I realize I haven't asked that of you before, but I want to know what you guys are reading, because if I've read it, we can talk about it, and if I haven't, I can put it on my list. I love recommendations. Hey there, guys. If you hear a weird sound in the background, that's Milo eating his dinner. But I'm about to start baking the cake, and I've already run into a problem. The recipe that I chose for white cake from my grandma's recipe book doesn't tell me how long to bake the cake for. So my grandma has issued me a challenge from the beyond to not mess this up. So I'm gonna try my hardest. I'll let you know how it goes, but right now I'm just fingers crossed. I'm gonna eyeball it and do my best. I'm also having a nice beverage. I love these pure leaf teas. Let's go. Hey there folks, it's Sunday and I am dressed and ready to go paddleboarding. I have a swimsuit on underneath here, but we're going paddleboarding for my mom's birthday. It's her happy birthday, Mom. We're going paddleboarding for my mom's birthday at a lake like 45 minutes from our house, and then we're gonna get lunch. In the evening we're gonna have dinner, and then we're gonna have the cake that I made. So I showed you guys that a couple of clips ago. I made homemade chalk covered strawberries on the top, trying to get a little fancy, class it up a bit. And it turned out really well. Even though I didn't know how long to bake the cake for, my baker's intuition got me through it. I'm gonna be trying not to fall off a paddleboard for the next hour and a half or so. Wish me luck. I am in the 740 range of the stand, and I'm starting to realize that I am not going to finish it by Monday. Hey everybody, it's Monday, and now time to wrap up this clip. I have a sad confession to make to you guys, and that is I failed my challenge. I did not finish the stand this week. I'm a little upset / ashamed that I couldn't do it. I started out really good, started off really strong. First half of the week I was on track, keeping up with the pace, everything was fine. And then the weekend came and I was prepping for my mom's birthday and doing celebrations for my mom's birthday, and also just being lazy, and I just didn't read as much as I needed to in order to complete it. So we did make it to the 760 mark, which means that I have about 400-ish pages of this left. What I'm gonna do is I am going to work this into my reading rush TBR, because the reading rush starts today technically, and my next week vlog will be all about the reading rush when it goes up. So I'm just going to squeeze this into my reading rush TBR, and this will be the first book that I read for the reading rush. I'm sorry that you don't get my final thoughts and my final rating in this video. I don't know how Noelle did it. I don't know how she read it in a week, in 5 days. It's insane, and I thought that I could do it, but you know, all props and glory to Noelle for being able to do it, but I'm just not there yet. But I did really like making this video, so if you're interested in me doing it again for some other big books that I have, I definitely want to, and maybe one day I'll actually be able to get it done in a week. But you know, I'm still reading it. I'm still reading The Stand. It's still 1100 pages and it's still a lot. I'm proud that I started it, and I'm proud that I got this far. If I had to rate it right now, if the book ended right now, I would probably give it something in the 3-star range. So that's where I'm at right now, but again, that could change. We've got about 400 pages of material left, and I'm hoping that some exciting and interesting things happen. If you want to hear my final conclusion thoughts on The Stand, come back next week. Thanks for helping me through this. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, even though I failed. But you know, if at first you don't succeed, just try again. Am I right? Like, comment, subscribe, leave your questions, criticisms, suggestions down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Happy reading, happy writing, and happy living. Bye.